I'll start in a minute, but one thing you gotta know about Timmy Lasanti, okay, who was just here. He was like my first captain I ever coached a kid, all right? He is the personification of what it means to be a Catholic, to be a Christian. I learned that from him 40 some odd years ago when we'd be coming home from a game and he would be bleeding and sweating and gave every ounce of his life on that field. And we'd pass a church of any denomination, and this kid sitting next to me would go like this and bless himself. And I said to myself, in 1970, that kid, who now is Dr. Lasanti, probably no higher in the Board of Education than you can go, but one of the great humanitarians, rides his bike on Sunday mornings from Floral Park, Our Lady of Victory, to Osenden Hall, to go to church at Osenden Hall every Sunday morning on his bike, rides over there, because Osenden Hall was where his mom and dad were for the last years of their life. So, Timmy, thank you very much. I always said he was maybe because I was young then, he was my favorite all-time student. Good evening, I have to say good evening, everybody. I said, hopefully, if I missed you coming in the door tonight, I'm sorry. I'm just blown away. Laura, wherever you are, where's Laura G? Okay, Laura G, I'm taking my phone out now. If you text me in the middle while I'm talking and tell me, Dad, that's enough, that's it. Oh, I did get a text from somebody. God bless you and Holy Cross. Because 12-and-a-half-year-old came, oh my God. Well, as I say, good evening, everybody. You know, I thought my kids had big weddings. What'd you have, 280, Joe? Sarah, 280. Laura was banking almost 300, right, Laura? Close to that? Well, the old man beat the hell out of all of us. And to have it in this gym. Yeah. Okay, when Gail said to me, we're going to have something for you, etc., I said, I want it in the gym. I want it in school. I said, I don't want it somewhere else. I said, because I don't know anywhere else. I only know this place. And they mentioned it before. My 4 kids grew up in this gym. When they would come with me to varsity beat practice or games, or Peter Seagrave would put them on their lap in a van when we'd have 18 people, 20 people in a van go to a game with no seatbelts, no kid seats. We just violated every rule. And my kids grew up in this gym, and when they went to a foul shooting contest when they were small, somebody would say, how come that kid keeps winning? Oh, that kid's a good foul shooter. The kid next to him would say, because he's in the gym every day with his old man. That's why he's a good foul shooter. In the gym where I got to see the greats of Holy Cross, all those jerseys, I think I've seen every one of the greats of Holy Cross, many of them that are here tonight, play in this gym with coaches like O'Mara and Kerr and Paul Gabberi, the legends of Holy Cross. We don't turn coaches over too fast in this building. Somebody's either got to die or something. How lucky was I? How lucky have I been that I've been here for those games, the Malloy games, the prep games. The prep games, Barry, when O'Mara was sick that time. O'Mara was sick and Jim Kerr had to coach the varsity that day, and prep had a great team, and we just kicked their ass right here in front of them. To all of the alumni that came tonight, 7 decades of alumni here tonight, everything from the class of '59 through the class of 2016. And I even see a Frosh here. He's 2020. He's going to be in the class of 2019. 7 decades, 11 U.S. presidents. But always remember one thing, and I've said this over the years, It's welcome home to your school. This is not my school. This is not any one individual school. This is your school, where you came every day for years and did the best job you could every single day. So always remember that the generations, when I talk to, always time, I hang this shirt up all the time. Timmy Lisanti got me this shirt a couple of years ago for football, but it stands for everything. Tradition never graduates. Somebody said to me last week, I came out of church last week, I guess he didn't know I retired. He said, how many years you in high school now? I said, 46. He said, you didn't graduate yet? I said, no, I did retire. He almost had a heart attack. We always talked about this place as being your second home. Always told the kids that. One parent got mad at me one time. They said, oh, it's my house. I said, no. We're going to see your son from 8 o'clock in the morning until 2:30 and 3:30 and 4:30 and 5:30 every day. We're going to see this kid more than you ever will in a given day. I'm not taking away your family for anything. But for that period of time, Holy Cross is his second home. And I always used to tell the kids, in order of priority, God, family, and then everything that you do in this building. Nothing else should interfere with that. God, family, and then Holy Cross. The last 5 months have been kind of unbelievable for me. My brother said I'm kind of like on a Derek Jeter tour. Different alumni say, come on out, let's go. You know, we're going to lunch, we're going to dinner, all right? 30 soccer players a month or so ago took me out for dinner and really celebrated their time with us together. Last month, just before Christmas, about 40 some odd former faculty that are even here tonight, faculty, staff, teachers, we all went to Monahan's one night for dinner. So it's been just like one event after the other, culminated, of course, by tonight. So, with everything that was said tonight, you know, all the unbelievable things, now it's time for me to say thank you. The question was, how many times, if you were a betting man, how many times will I lose it tonight? I gotta say, first of all, thank you to my children for working with Jimmy Quinn, Gene Doyle and Gail, Hector, the Navens crew for putting this together tonight, helping us with that, James Benish. I know my son thanked all these people before, but I need to do it. Gilberto and Walter and Jacinto, the finest 3 custodians in the world. Timmy Gavari and Ron Beloff helping with the set up the microphones and everything, so we have everything working good today. Listen, 55 years ago, where's Tommy Burke and Billy Mahoney? They're here, right? My classmates. 55 years ago, this January 1961, this almost 13-year-old little fat kid from St. Anne's in Flushing got accepted at Holy Cross High School 55 years ago. Those letters went out today. Those letters went home this week to the new class, the class of 2020, which will be coming here in September. And I remember when that letter went home, what it meant. Just think about that, 55 years ago. JFK had just been inaugurated. There weren't even a New York Mets at that time. We were still regretting our feet. Right, Richie? I was the only Dodger fan on the block. Okay, still crying at the Dodgers that left. And as I said to a kid that I interviewed just before I retired, and I looked up and I said, I graduated here 50 years ago. The kid looked at me and he looked at me like this, and I said to him, your parents weren't even born yet when I graduated. I said, that makes me very old. You know, my father wanted me to go to Monte Cristi. Monte Cristi was the Aston school in Astoria. And my cousin and his family lived in Astoria. My father wanted me to go there because it was $15 a month, $150 for the year. Oh, Rosie, my mother wanted me to go to Holy Cross. It was $30 a month or $300 a year, and the old man looked at the $15 difference, and he lost that argument right away. In fact, I probably wound up here because my best friend on the block growing up, Richie David, was a freshman here already that year. He came home with his Holy Cross stuff on, and that set the image for me to what I would want to do going forward. You know, my parents had very little education. It's amazing that you guys got me this trip to Italy, okay? When I was a junior in high school, my father wanted me to go back to the old country. Doc Scalero was running a trip, 3 weeks in Italy for like $600 or something like that. I'll get to Doc in a minute. And my father wanted me to go because he had never gone back to he had never been to the old country. And of course, how stupid I was. I'm 15 years old, whatever it is, and I don't want to leave the hood. You know, I don't want to leave the park. I don't want to not play basketball with you and everybody else. And I didn't go. Well, 50 some odd years later, I still didn't go. And I will go now, thanks to the generosity of everybody. And I remember when all my kids went to Europe and Italy and Ireland and London, and Sarah would call up and say she had no more money in her account, put money on her account, and this and that. And I'd say, this is not bad. The old man's never gone, you know. And every once in a while, I come back after Easter vacation, I have a little bit of a suntan because up to last year, I was the only guy in the neighborhood who cut his own lawn. Last year, I banged my bald head so many times, my kid said to me, that's enough of that, they paid for the landscaper. But I never got there, and I say, listen, my kids, you know, my kids all had the opportunity, and thank God, they all were able to see the countries and visit the other side of the world. You know, as I said, my folks weren't very educated, but my mom, my cousins here today, my cousins, they would know this, they could testify to this. She had a master's degree in God and family, in that particular order, God and then family. My father, I don't know about the masters in God of my father, but my father had his PhD in hard work. That's the only thing the old man knew. He knew how to work hard, vintage old Italian. And he said, you work hard every day so you can have something that I did not have in my life. See, my brother and I never saw my father. We saw him every night when he came home and passed out from exhaustion. And we saw him work his tail off 6 and 7 days a week, but we never got to see him at any one of our games ever. And I am so grateful that my father made me go to school so I could have more than he had, so that I could never, ever say that I did not have the opportunity to go to my kids' games, to coach my kids. Well, 55 years later, you know, when you're a freshman walking around Holy Cross and you're the legends of Bobby McIntyre and this one, that one, and you're just this little tiny kid, you never dream in your wildest life that 55 years later is where you would be, especially for a kid that was scared of his own shadow in high school. You know, over the years, people would ask me, especially when everybody started to get into mission, somebody would say to me, you've been here a long time, can you write down the mission of Holy Cross? Put it into words what it means to be Holy Cross. And I'd say, you know, everybody's got a mission statement these days. You could probably go to the car wash on 35th
This is true.
right? And the guy's got a sign with a mission statement. Donate $10 in a year. I always said, I could really not answer that question and put it in writing because of the fact that I always said I learned the mission of Holy Cross from the people sitting at that table right there, from the congregation of Holy Cross, that when I walked in the door, the presence of the religious community, of this specific Holy Cross community, they didn't say it, they didn't preach it to you every day, they just did it every day. And everything you saw, whether it be Brother Renatus or JJ or Brother Joseph McDonald was here tonight. Brother Joseph was my Spanish teacher when John F. Kennedy was killed. I'll never forget that day. Brother Rob McMahon, Brother Francis Ellis, who to this day I'm still scared of. days, I still can't figure out if he's teasing me or he's joking with me or he's really mad at me. Brother Bernard, Brother Edward Boyer, Brother Francis Jerome, the list is endless. They were the image of what Holy Cross was supposed to be like. They taught us the mission by their example. And even in the lay community, a guy like Dr. Frank Levenis, who was still a professor at St. John's, he taught me a love of history, which eventually became a subject that I loved even more, but it really started in his class. But one of the things all of these guys had, and they were tough, they all had a passion for the classroom. When they walked in the door and they closed that door for 35, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, they were on top of their game. They were on stage. Nothing surpassed what they were going to do. And they did it every single day. You know, over the years, kids would say to me, especially when I was dean, principal, they'd say to me, oh, it's so hard now. Oh, right, oh, you guys, you're such a hard ass, this and that, oh, God. I'd look back at them and say, and the guys that are older, my age group, the senior citizen group, Medicare, you guys will attest to this. They didn't know how hard it was when we were here a generation ago, okay? It was hard, but it was always with the spirit of Holy Cross behind it. I got the opportunity to go to Villanova for college only for one basic reason. A kid that Richie and I grew up with on the block. Richie had already gone to Georgetown, and a kid on the block came back to me one day and said, I'm going to see the school I'm going to go to. And I said, what is it? And he said, Villanova. And I went down there and I looked at the place and I came back here and I said to my mother, I said, you think I could apply to Villanova? She goes, where's that? I said, Philadelphia. She only knew about 4 schools. She knew Fordham, St. John's, Iona, and of course Notre Dame, of course. And she said, it must be a good school, because your grandfather owned a bar on Steinway Street in Astoria, and the name of the bar was the Villanovan. And that is a true story. My mother let me apply to Villanova, and then after I got here as a teacher, I started bringing some of these other guys, the Jimmy O'Neills and Chuck McNulty's around and saying, you gotta go there. In May of 1969, Brother Orbit Harrington offered me a job. He was the principal as a history teacher. Chuck McNulty was reminding me of this a little while ago. I was 21 years old. I had just turned 21. Right, Judy? I can't even imagine that. 21 years old. I walked into Jimmy Malone. Jimmy Malone was a senior then. I was 3 years older than some of the kids in the classroom. And this freshman I had, I was only 7 years older than the Dennis Wolfs or the Scotty Mastersons or any of those guys. But they didn't know that. They just thought everybody was older than them was old. Starting salary in 1969, when Mike Giannuzzi and I started, was $6,300 a year. Remember, it's all relative. Tuition was, $400 or whatever it was. And I always remembered saying, if I get to 15,000, wow. I get to 15 grand a year. I think we were paying rent, $155 a month, right? You almost But I learned from the best when I was here. Thankfully, these people guided me through my years here, my early years at Holy Cross. Brother Carl DeMond, brilliant teacher, but also more than anything else, a true, before the word even came out, a multitasker. Right, brothers? There wasn't anything Brother Carl couldn't do. If you said to him you needed an AD, he was your athletic director. You needed a moderator, he was your moderator. You needed 5 English classes taught, he taught 5 English classes. He did everything every day. And it was a real role model for me. I mentioned Shalero before. It'll be 16 years this March that we lost Doc. None of us ever learned a damn bit of chemistry from Shalero. I remember looking at his file one time as principal, and his file was like 2 of them this thick. Everybody else's is like this, that kid's is the Yoda. But what he did teach me was that no matter how high up you go in anything, never forget where you came from first. He used to tease me all the time. He'd say, I remember when you were just a student, and just because you're principal now doesn't mean anything. From Billy O'Mara, who this gym is named after. The Big O. Kevin's here tonight. He taught me one of the great lessons I ever learned, which was how hard it is to cut a kid. Because in 1977, for the 76-77 season, right around then, he cut his own son, Paulie O'Mara, from the varsity 18 as a junior. And he had to go home and face his wife, lovely wife Nancy, that night. And Paulie had gotten home earlier and told his mother he got cut. And Nancy said, he looked at Nancy and he said, do me a favor, don't even say a word. I just had to do the toughest thing in the world. I had to cut my own son. But I promise you I won't cut him next year. And he didn't. And that really helped me a lot going forward over the years with the kids that I coached and the kids in my own family and the teams I coached in my CYO to understand how important it is for a kid to be on one of these teams. There's a Holy Cross alumnus that is very well off. And maybe 10 years ago, I picked him up to go to a funeral mass, and I picked him up in the Holy Cross van. Now here's a guy that sent car services to pick me up, to take me to the best restaurants in Manhattan. I pick him up by St. Mary's Church over there, and he gets into the oldest van that we had. He gets in a van and he says to me, he said, I finally got a chance to ride in the Holy Cross van. And I looked at him and I said, you got limousines? He said, all my life I just wanted to make one team, wear that green and gold uniform, and ride in that van. And that really came full circle for me of how important it is for a kid, whether he's 14, 15, 16, or 17, to be part of what this place is all about. Yeah! And it was the Big O who gave me the chance to coach the varsity B. He came to me in '71 and said, listen, we have so many kids in this building that love basketball, there's no place for them if they don't make the varsity. He says, how about you start a B team? I said, that sounds good. He said, but I'm telling you, you're not getting in the gym after school. He said, because you got the A team, you got the freshmen, you got everybody else, and nobody's gonna be in the gym except, so pick a time, pick a place, I don't care, and that's how it all started. And he gave me a chance to coach a game that I loved. I always used to teach the kids when I got mad at them. See, this basket was always down here. All right, these baskets, I wish they were down tonight. Because maybe I could figure out if Schaefer still is convinced that that basket over there is about an inch shorter. He's been telling me that for as long as I know him, that basket down there is off and this one is the right one. But I used to tell you right there, Jimmy Sheridan and Bobby and all the guys that played for me, I used to say to them, one day I'm going to get waked. I said, I don't want to get waked underneath that basket. I said, but I don't want you guys carrying me out because you guys can't catch anything. And I'm afraid you would drop me coming out of the truck. But I was fortunate enough in those early years to work with guys like Al Monday and Santa Barbarino, Renee Munson, Don Barton, Frank Kleinberg, Jerry Rail. So many great teachers that would start their careers right around the time I was. And Frank Kleinberg taught me something very important. He said to me one day, the kids, they don't really care what you know. They want to know that you care. And that becomes a standard, I think, for everybody. And I believe in that very strongly. somebody would say, why don't you leave, you're young, you got a family growing up and all this other stuff, why don't you leave Holy Cross, go out and make some money. Well, we were all young, whether they be the Kerrs, the Provides, the Genoveses, the Walls, the Schneiders, the Pews. We just hung out with each other all the time. We were young, we raised our kids together, we had a stepping stone of 1 year after the next. We all had our kids. Where else would you even want to go to work? And I remember there's one guy that said to me many years ago after he left Holy Cross, he said, the only time for a teaching job somewhere else, public school, making a lot more money, he said to me, he said, it's not the same. People don't care like they care at Cross. People don't worry about each other like they do here. He said, the only time my job is any better is the 15th and the 30th of the month. And I said, I'm glad I am where I am. I'm proud to say that in 46 years here, I can honestly say I really feel like I never worked a day in my life. This place, the Congregation of Holy Cross, gave me a place to go every day to do what I love to do. And they even paid me for it. Every board chair, every board chairman, every board member, every president of Holy Cross, every principal I ever worked under at Holy Cross has been so generous to me and my family over all these years. I cannot thank you enough for all you've done for me over all of these years. Kids would ask me over the last number of years because, and it came out a couple of times, and I would say to them things like, I didn't go to school to be a dean. I didn't go to school to be a principal. I went to school to be a teacher. And that was it. So whether or not you had a fancy title of principal or whatever, you were still a teacher, first and foremost. And that's just the way